The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Discretion is advised.
Episode 96 of Rare Form Radio is upon us, and we're here together on this joyous day to celebrate this joyous day. Right, Darren?
Yes. I'm in the house.
Before we get started, I want to give a hello to our new patron, Fatty Ash. Thank you very much for joining the party. If anybody else wants to join our Patreon, patreon.com/rareformradio. You get extra episodes, extended director's cuts, behind-the-scenes clips, and all of Darren's nudes, which are really, really something to behold.
Oh. Yeah, there's something already.
Yeah. Oh. I'm very excited today. You know, there's someone we have on the show today who I've wanted to talk to one-on-one for a very long time. And that person is the one and only Kay Hanley. Welcome.
I'm going to clap for myself.
You have to. Darren didn't.
He didn't because he knows I'm from Boston.
That's right.
We've already established there are many disagreements between us.
There's going to be more, too.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Maybe there will be even more.
Oh, I can't wait.
We're going to find out.
I can't wait. People may know Kay from the band Letters To Cleo, a very a cool Boston band that I missed in the heyday. You guys started 1990?
90, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was 10 when you started that band.
Mm-hmm.
As you were. You started at 10 years old.
Oh my God.
That doesn't matter. But it's the kind of band where I discovered like more towards the end of your run. It was like a 10-year run, right?
Yeah.
But I was proud because you were one of the cooler kind of Boston bands. There's not a whole lot of really cool Boston bands. You know what I mean? At least back then, I didn't feel like that were known countrywide. Besides like Boston, Aerosmith, and the Bosstones, kind of were the only ones to me.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think I felt differently because we had. When I was younger, when I was sort of like in my adolescence, we had V66, which was a video station that was on. Remember, you probably don't remember this, but maybe some other people will. You used to have to, there were only like a couple of TV stations on your TV. And in order to, there was like the 3 networks. And then there was like, you could get cartoons on and like horror movies and stuff on Channel 56, you could get hockey game, you can get Bruins on.
They were on
38.
UPN, right?
I don't know. UPN was later.
But that was 38. I thought 38 was UPN.
Maybe it became that later.
Okay.
But it was like, I forget what it was. But you would have to, so there was this video station called V66 where you had to like put one of the dials to UHF, I guess. Okay. And then you could go to V66, which was channel 66. And there were like all of these local bands that were like Newman and the Sex Execs and Mission of Burma.
Oh, Mission of Burma, they were cool.
Of course.
I mean, they didn't have like a big national.
But they kind of do now.
They're one of those bands that found late life.
Exactly.
And like they're also a band where everyone talks about how cool they are, but they can't name 3 songs. You know what I mean?
Only Revolver.
Like Joy Division is kind of another band like that, where everyone loves Joy Division or the Misfits, but you can't name a song, but they make good T-shirts.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
That they still sell at the mall, right?
Exactly.
But then in the 90s, I felt like I followed around, because I started in my first band when I was 17. My cousin Greg started a band, and I
have to know what it was called, by the way.
It was called Rebecca Lula.
Okay.
And I used to sing at Mass with my mom, and I would sing it at like all the family weddings and stuff like that. And so Greg knew that I sang at Mass with my mom, and he was starting this band, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to like be the backup singer?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to be the backup singer in your band." And he like wrote all the lyrics and everything, and the bass player was the lead singer, and I was like the backup singer. But at that time, before I could get into clubs and stuff, there were like so many bands to follow around. Like I remember loving like the Heretics and Tribe, and Morphine wasn't around yet, but like
Morphine,
Dump Truck, cool. And I mean there were like so many bands to follow around. And then of course like when I started in the band, and we started playing like real clubs, you know, then Morphine. I started writing songs at some point, and that's a whole other story. Then we fired everybody and started Letters to Cleo.
The right thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
I feel like it was probably.
And how old were you when you started Letters to Cleo?
That was probably like 21.
Okay.
21, 22.
And what were those first shows like for you?
Oh God.
Were you playing like garages? Were you doing like, what were you doing back then?
We had, well, Rebecca Lula had crazy gigs. Like we played at the basement of this place in Faneuil Hall, and we would have to play for like 3-hour-long sets, and we had like all of these like covers that we would play. And then when Letters to Cleo started, like I just remember playing out on like City Hall, Boston City Hall, like out in that big like concrete jungle. They would set up stages. We'd play there. We would play literally anywhere. I remember playing at like a rib fest. Like there was a festival of ribs. Like it was literally like, you know, puppet show before, Letters to Cleo before the puppet show. We were.
How many times must I tell you?
Yeah. We were sluts for shows. We would play anywhere.
Of course. And then, of course, you know, since Letters to Cleo, you've had a really an understated career, like songwriting and writing for films, and you've done so much stuff. Is it more satisfying for you in your career to have been in the band that had some success, or the work you're doing now for like musicians' rights and writing for TV shows? And where do you get your most satisfaction from of those things?
Well, to back up just a little bit, this is going to sound weird, but I never enjoyed being the lead singer of a band. I always felt, and especially like when I was waiting tables, and then like, you know, the place where I would like blow off steam, the sacred place, was like rehearsal, or like, you know, leaving, you know, working a double shift on, you know, Thursday, and then getting in the van at 11 o'clock at night, and we would play all weekend long, you know, like that was when like I really enjoyed it. And then when we signed a record deal in 94, I guess, I started to feel like I had to do it. And at that point, you know
became a job.
You know how we are, Boston people. It's like, you know, if you tell me to do it, I don't want to fucking do it.
Tell me what to do.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you're not my mother,
right? And also, like, I also felt this weird thing of like, you know, I grew up believing that like success meant like getting a job with Benny's, you know, like going to work at like, you know, for the union, like, becoming a carpenter, or like being a nurse, or working for the Edison, or like, you know, things that were like very stable and middle, you know, blue collar people in Boston. That's just kind of what you did. Right. And like for me, doing this thing that was like being in a band, like it felt, it didn't feel right. And I also always felt really strange about having to sell myself as like a product. And I remember when we did the video for Here and Now, and I had like, you know, I wrote, back then bands didn't have like stylists and shit. Like I just rolled out of bed and like picked up whatever was on the floor, put my dirty hair in pigtails, and went to the set and shot the video, you know? So, but my not knowing that it was going to become like a thing. And when two things happened that were like really like, oh, this is weird and I don't like it. First thing was when we got to South by Southwest in 95 maybe, and that video was kind of like on MTV a lot. It was on like Beavis and Butthead, and we got to South by Southwest, and we got to the hotel, and I like went to the laundromat to do some laundry, and the guy who was there was like, oh, hey, you look like the girl from that band from the video. And I was just like, whoa.
Was that your first time being recognized outside of Massachusetts?
Boston, yeah. And that felt really like I didn't like it.
Really?
I did not like it. It felt, I mean, I wasn't mad at it, but it felt scary to me.
You probably felt very exposed.
Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, like I was just like, I am not.
Like,
And
why do you know me?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Have we met before?
And then actually another thing that happened was we got back to Boston, and the Boston Herald, and we were like playing a show out on the Esplanade or something, and the Boston Herald ran a huge picture of me with like my hair like a mess, and because I didn't like dress up for show, right? And like said something snide about my appearance or something, and I was just like, well, that's fucked up too. And then we got back to LA.
Since when does the media rip on women's appearance, by the way?
Well,
what the fuck?
Right? I mean, that would not happen now.
No, never.
And then when we got back to LA, so anyway, because of all of that, I like colored my hair like fire engine red and like just changed things, and and we got to LA to do to set up promo for that album, and they flipped out that I didn't have blonde pigtails anymore, and I was just like,
because you weren't the girl from the video,
right? And they had nothing to like. Now it's like we have to change all the marketing, and so none of it felt great to me, and I felt this like responsibility not just to like write songs, but to like sell myself, and I had no interest in doing that. So I kind of sabotaged us in a lot of ways. And what I didn't really what I know now that I didn't appreciate then is that like what I was doing, like writing songs and being in this band was like really like giving young girls who like hadn't seen themselves, and in the 90s, not for nothing, there were a bunch of us like in that 3-year period between like 94 and 97.
Yep.
Like women were all over like
Garbage in the Sundays and the Cardigans
and Fruit
Assault
and Belly and Throwing Muses and
sure,
Juliana Hatfield and like there were like women were running the show.
Yeah.
But we were still, not that's we could do a whole other podcast about that, but
we should sometime. That'd
we
be fun.
should, right? I have a lot to say about that. But what I didn't realize is that what I was doing was really important. It didn't feel important to me, and I didn't respect it at the time, but I do now. And what when I started getting some chances later on in that period to do some TV and film stuff, and I realized in 1999, I got a chance to go do vocals for Josie and the Pussycats. And when I did that, I was like, wait a minute, I can just show up at the studio, like other people write the songs, I sing, I get paid.
I can show up in a hoodie and right.
And just get paid for my work. I worked with Babyface during that time too. Babyface was the producer of those songs. At least the songs for the Adam Schlesinger did the production for the
R.I.P.
soundtrack.
Adam.
I know. And actually it was Adam Schlesinger and Mike Deneen from Q Division who was so both of them are now gone, which is just like unbelievable to me. But when I did the stuff with Babyface, what I saw, we would have to go, we would be recording at his house one day, at his studio over on La Brea another day, and then this studio, that studio. And I saw that there was a way to be a creative person and still have complete control and be a business person and like be paid for your work. And that stuck with me. And so, of course, many years later, that's what I do. Not at Babyface's level, but like behind the scenes.
You're doing a huge thing. And I was going to save that towards the end, but I want to get into that now. You started, or did you start SONA?
Yes.
Which is the Songwriters of North America. And what is the point? Tell me what your mission is.
Okay.
Because it's super important. If you guys don't know, artists are taken advantage of from day one until the end, basically. Right? I mean, it's still to this day, maybe the most fucked over line of work you could be in is entertainment, especially music. So go ahead.
Okay, so Michelle Lewis and Michelle is my writing partner, and she and I, as I was saying earlier, what do you drink? Are you drinking a Mickey's?
Damn right he is.
No.
Oh my God, that is such. Remember Mickey's with like the fat.
Oh, it was Mickey. That was
mouth,
Mickey's, right?
Like
yeah.
fat mouth or something.
Yeah.
Is
It's
that
like a Mickey's
right?
big gulp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember those.
Oh yeah, here you go, boss.
It's in your honor. He did that in your honor.
Yeah, in your honor.
That's amazing.
In your
In
honor.
my honor.
Did I do, did
There
I
you
do
go.
it-
It's
did I do
close.
it right?
It's close. In your
My
honor.
honor. So Michelle and I have been writing partners since I moved to LA, and she had moved from New York a year before I did, and I moved to LA in 2003. So we started writing, and have done a million things, but what we have been doing for the past decade is writing songs for animation. So like I write songs for cartoons.
Disney, and you did Doc McStuffins is a big one that you've done all the music for that, right?
We did all the songs for Doc McStuffins, DC Superhero Girls, did Ghoul Girls for Vampirina. We're doing right now Ada Twist Scientist for Netflix, which is under the Obama's production company,
Nice.
which is so cool. And our former boss, Chris Nee, from the creator of Doc McStuffins, she's over at Netflix now and working with the Obamas.
You ever do video games or anything?
I actually did. Now that you mention it, I did. I never wrote. I did vocals for Team Rose on what is that
2K?
video game?
NBA 2K.
No. It's like a hedgehog. Sonic
the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I didn't write it, but I sang on that.
Cool.
But no, video games are not my thing. Although
It's also a totally different animal,
When we
it
get
seems
into the
like.
crypto conversation, we can. There's a lot of stuff in there with a lot
Bloodshed.
of ideas. Yeah.
Bloodshed.
So Michelle's former life was writing songs for artists. So she had some like big cuts with like Kelly Osbourne and Cher, and has written songs for. So while we were kind of holed up in the studio doing songs for Doc McStuffins, she had a hit with this band called Little Mix in like 2015, I guess, and she was like really excited to start seeing, because when you have a hit on the radio, like a global hit song, like it's bank.
I wouldn't know.
I would not know either. So that makes both.
But it's life changing. It's totally life changing.
Mm-hmm. So she looked at her statement when the Little Mix, it's a song called Wings, great song. I used to hear it at Spin all the time. So she was looking at her ASCAP statements and saw that this song had gotten something, I'm going to get the math wrong, but something like 17 million views on YouTube. And her cut was like, I don't know, $50, something like that. And we were like, what the hell is going on? It was just like, it made no sense. It was like, how can
It takes your
this
breath
be?
away.
I mean, it's
Like,
really
I'm going to
just
get a
like,
house. I'm going to take care of my parents. This
Yeah.
is going to be wonderful.
Mhm. But everybody is now listening to consuming music over at YouTube and watching the video over and over and over again, and they're not paying. And we were like, this is really crazy. So we made an appointment there was this attorney named Dina LaPolte, and we had heard through the grapevine that she was doing a lot of work in this area of like copyright and like trying to get songwriters paid. So we made an appointment to go in and see her at her big fancy office over on Sunset. And we walked into her office, and she literally said, "Where the fuck have you bitches been? You're the first songwriters to walk through my door, and they're eating you for lunch." And we were like, what?
We're home. Great. Wow.
Exactly. It's like, I can really identify with that. That speaks to me.
Yeah.
So
No bullshit.
She then goes on to tell us about that songwriters are under a consent decree. And what a consent decree is, it's generally an antitrust action that is taken by the Department of Justice to hold companies who are acting in a monopolistic way to account. So it basically lays out a code of conduct for your business. And the reason that this started was in 1939. 1939.
By the way, that's when Hitler invaded Poland. I mean, that's how long ago it was.
Yes.
You know.
And this was when we were still talking about piano rolls.
Right.
Like that was how, you know, and like, so in 1939, ASCAP was the first organization to start licensing performance royalties, which is a very specific kind of royalty. And so back then it was like radio and TV were just getting started. And since ASCAP was the only game in town, what they did was start acting in a way that, because they were the only game in town, they started price gouging, and and of course the network, the broadcasters complained to the Department of Justice and slapped ASCAP with a consent decree. And so, and then 4 years later, in like 1942, when BMI came on the scene, they ended up getting folded into that.
I was going to ask, how much longer after that did BMI come?
Yeah.
So it was that quick.
Yeah. So when the broadcasters started their own performance rights organization. So anyway, usually now a lot of industries and a lot of companies have consent decrees, but usually they sunset after like 10 years or whatever. Ours have been in place for,
it'll be
80 years.
Yeah, 80 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
The whole entire, and so basically a couple of the things that the consent decree says is, first of all, songwriters cannot say no. If someone wants to play your song, you cannot say no as a song. If you're the artist, if you're the performer, you can. If you're the songwriter, you cannot. You're not allowed to say no. So, and also how it is sort of like ended up working out in the streaming economy is that the labels, same as it ever was, they're just like the biggest dicks in the world. They're
like pimps. They're like worse than pimps.
Oh my God. Well, they went and did deals with all of the streaming services for a certain rate. The streaming services did not realize that they also had to do a deal with the PROs, which are like ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. We're all under the consent decrees.
What's PRO? Like performance royalty something?
Performance rights organization. Okay. So what a performance right is like when your song is performed, like on TV, on the radio, those are performance rights. Or think of it as like sheet music. So right. Every song actually has two pies. There is the sound recording, which is like the record.
Right.
And then there is the performance in the publishing side, which is, we can think of as like the lyric and melody.
Right.
So
like Happy Birthday.
What's that?
Like Happy Birthday?
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. See, I know what I'm talking about.
You sure do.
Goddamn right, Darren.
Yeah, you're not firing me yet.
Not yet.
Not today. Well, not yet.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of show left,
So in the streaming economy, the way it works out is that the labels get, or the streaming services pay out, again, I'm going to get this math wrong, but approximately 70% of revenues to the sound recording, which is the labels. And of that, the songwriter, on our side, on the publishing side, we get 4% of that. So it
makes sense. It seems fair.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Jesus.
So it's completely upside down. That's why songwriters are uniquely screwed in the streaming music business. And so what Sona was conceived as really as a friend group. So after we left Dina LaPolte's office and she blew our minds with all this stuff about consent decrees, basically what it means is that songwriters' income is controlled 75% by the fucking U.S. government. Who knew that? I did not know that.
I didn't know that until I was cruising the site yesterday.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it's shocking to people. And so when we left her, we were like, oh my God, we have to tell our friends. And about 6 weeks later, we held our first songwriter summit and got about 100 songwriters in a room over at the Old Ocean Way. And just basically told them everything we knew about, which wasn't a lot at that time.
And I bet most of them didn't know that.
No, but everybody had been kind of thinking the same thing. Like, how is this?
Like, we're getting fucked over, but we don't know how.
Screwed.
Yeah.
We don't understand why. We don't like. It seems like we should just be able to change it. But the thing is that it's not just about mean tweets. Sona has, we're all also like nerds, and so the way we decided to go about it was go to Washington and so we're really trying to change it through legislation, but we ended up getting into just like a lot of stuff with politics really at the beginning, and obviously things have changed a lot in the last year since COVID hit, and we identified bigger, more pressing problems with our community, and have had to really adapt, just like everyone else really had to adapt.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. People can go to wearesona.com is the website, but there's a couple things on there that I found out that songwriters are not allowed to unionize under current U.S. law.
We are not.
Why? I didn't know there was laws against unions anywhere. I didn't know that.
Because we don't have a boss. Because we don't have, because we're independent contractors.
But couldn't there be a way to like start an organization where there is a boss and then everyone kind of signs up to it?
I mean, you could argue that like, if you are signed to a publishing deal, that you are reporting to someone, that's your boss.
You have a boss, sort of.
But it's so crazy complicated, and especially under Reagan, he really, really, put the hammer down on unionizing, just collective bargaining in general.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when he fired all the, you were probably not even born.
I was just discovering my penis at that point. I had no idea what was going on. That was the early days.
Last week?
Thank you, Darren. Thank you. No, that was your penis.
Nice.
Yeah. We roll cool in here.
I see.
Very
how
laid
this
back.
goes. Yeah.
If that's what you call it, Dan.
Yeah, it's laid back. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, this was back in the 80s. Air traffic controllers went on strike, and President Reagan just fucking fired them all and replaced them.
Brutal.
And it was not cool.
Here I was thinking he was just a cool dude this whole time. Man.
So we are not allowed to collectively bargain because we cannot unionize.
Weird.
Yeah, but we're trying to find other ways around it. That we have very smart people now in our ranks. We have lawyers and, lobbyists and people that were, trying to find workarounds for it.
Has anything been improved yet since you've started this? Has there any laws been changed? Have you seen anything good happen so far?
One of the things that we were really actively involved in was the Music Modernization Act. And what the Music Modernization Act does is, and the reason that we were really, really into it, and we ended up working with a lot of Republicans to get that done, because weirdly, Republicans are great on copyright, personal property, and
why is that?
Democrats are not. Democrats are terrible on copyright. Why? Because copyright is a personal property right.
Okay.
And Republicans hate regulation, and they hate the consent decrees, and they also feel like
and they love money.
And they love money, right? Yeah. And Democrats are still. I think this might be changing a little bit, but under Obama, all of the staffers were everyone was really under the sway of Silicon Valley, and like and also all of these, everyone in the Obama administration was like, could not wait to like go to work for Silicon Valley after they were done. So it was like, and there was also like a little bit of the like, don't break the internet, everything free, everything. So there were a lot of ideologies out there amongst the more progressive base that were at odds with music copyrights. So we ended up working with a lot of Republicans. But this was during the Obama administration, so it didn't feel so disgusting. It felt pretty gross later.
Sure.
Especially when we were uninvited from the signing of the Music Modernization Act at the at Trump's office. Not that we went to Washington when it was being signed, when the bill was being signed, to have like a party and stuff like that, and like Paul Williams, Paul Williams,
I don't
right?
think so.
Yes, you do.
I do?
Like Rainy Day. He wrote all the songs. He wrote like Rainbow Connection.
Okay.
He wrote all the Carpenter songs.
Okay.
And he's like, and he's the president of ASCAP.
Okay.
He was literally in the driveway of the White House to go to the signing ceremony, and they told him to go home.
Why?
Because President Trump was as we know, very petty, very vindictive. And Paul is very outspoken Democrat. And he just didn't want any Democrats in the room. Yeah. And the only woman in there was Marsha Blackburn. And there were no Democrats, not one.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Very,
no
very
songwriters.
cool.
I mean, except for fucking Kanye.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah,
Is
the whole
for
point.
songwriters.
So the reason that, to back up just a little bit, the reason that we were, really gung-ho about the passage of the Music Modernization Act, which is not perfect, and there's a lot of, to my mind, it's lacking in some modernity. But what we liked is that it's centralized a digital mechanical royalty, and I will tell you what that is.
Yes, please.
So back in the olden days, when a songwriter would get a cut on an album, the way they would get paid is through what was called, for every sale, they would receive a mechanical royalty. Mm-hmm. Once there were no more album sales, obviously that entire revenue stream was decimated.
So this started 20 years ago of becoming a real problem.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. And so there was a digital mechanical, but it wasn't centralized. It was like, so this codified a centralized body that would oversee, collect, and distribute a digital mechanical royalty. So, and that is called the Mechanical Licensing Collective, the MLC.
Okay.
And I am on the Unclaimed Royalties Oversight Committee. I am the co-chair.
And what do you do with that? How does that happen? So unclaimed royalties are, I guess, what is that for people that don't know?
Well, and this is kind of my battle cry right now is songwriters cleaning up their data. Like if your data is dirty, you ain't gonna get paid. Like your stuff is gonna be unmatched when it's in the streaming services. If they don't know who you are, you're not going to get paid. Mm-hmm. So songwriters have to do a better job of when you go into the studio, if there's your co-writer and the producer, are you all co-writers? What are your names? What PRO do you belong to? Are you splitting it 3 ways? What is the song title? That is the birth of the metadata of a song. Mm-hmm. And making sure that stuff is correct in the room that day is critical. But we don't do that because it feels uncomfortable.
It's icky.
Yeah, I was just about to say, has it become a nightmare? Because I've been in those situations.
Right? Well, I mean, it shouldn't be. We should be better about talking to each other about the business of it. Personally,
it's so uncomfortable.
Right?
It's almost
Very uncomfortable.
oh my God, when you get married.
Marriage?
No, when you...
A license?
No, when you don't want to take someone's money. You don't want them to take your money.
Prenup.
Oh, a
Prenup. It's almost like a
Period.
prenup.
Yeah.
Where
No one wants to have that
right,
uncomfortable.
but you should.
Because who really, and also
We're all friends in here. We're just making a record, baby. We'll work it out later.
It can be uncomfortable
Yeah,
to be
right.
we're splitting this 3 way, which is my personal philosophy is who's ever in the room, we just split it 3 ways.
I agree
2
100%.
ways, because
we all feel that way, and that is not normal. I think a lot of people
Do we all
Right.
agree on this?
I agree.
Wow.
I agree. Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree.
That's a good sign.
Yep.
We all agree.
Except that this podcast makes a lot of money. goes to Danny Boy.
Really? I don't get
I got this on
residuals.
record.
I'll get you a bottle of wine or
How
something,
do I-
or Mickey's. I'll get you your own Mickey's if you want.
No one wants that.
Cool,
I'm
he does.
a sober dude.
Okay, cool. Good for you.
No one wants me to be having Mickey's in the middle of the day.
Oh, it gets a little
Trust me.
crazy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they pulled my card.
Oh, shit. So as far as the streaming services, what's the worst one as far as paying artists? Because I've seen you and I, this is only like the third time we've ever met face to face, really.
Which is so weird because I
I
feel like we
know.
know each other.
We run in the same circles. We have a lot of similar friends, and we're in the same business.
And plus, we've been Twitter buds.
That's what I was
for
going to say.
a
Is
long
that like
time.
Twitter is kind of what made us most friendly, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I've seen you tweet a lot about a lot of Spotify hate. Are they the worst of the bunch as far as taking care of artists, or?
I would not say they are the most active in. Okay, how do I explain it? So I want to say first that I love streaming.
Mm-hmm.
I think streaming is the best thing to happen to the music business in a very long time.
It opens people's ears to so many new things, and
stuff. Like I've never listened to more music than I do now on streaming, but I have Apple. I have Apple Music. I got rid of my Spotify, and the reason that I did is because there is something called the royalty the CRB, Copyright Royalty Board, and they convene every 5 years, I think, to look at royalty rates. So the CRB approved a 44% raise for songwriters over the next 5 years. And that does not mean very much when you're talking about, like a 12%.
I mean, you're getting less than a penny per play, right? It's like a lot less than a penny.
Less than a penny per 100 plays. So
doesn't seem like you can really take care of yourself on that kind of scratch.
No, you can't. So this means nothing to them. So the only people to appeal that ruling were Spotify, Amazon, Google, and Pandora. And so
4 huge ones.
yes,
Yeah.
And so Apple declined to appeal, and so did Tidal. So I also feel like they're just I understand that people really love their Spotify, and my fiance has Spotify, and I will not lie that I will tell my personal robot to play. Like last night I was cooking dinner and I told my robot to play Radio City #1 record by Big Star, and that's what I listen to on Spotify. But I don't pay for it, and I don't.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't subscribe.
In your opinion, as an artist and as a songwriter, what do you think would be a fair pay per play for a Spotify or Apple? Like, if an artist, what should they make per play?
I mean, that's a really good question. I'm not a mathematician, so I can't really say what would be fair. I can't really answer that.
I've asked a few people, and no one seems to really have an idea. Like you would think in your mind that a penny a play seems like an easy thing to do,
right?
But then that's so much money for the companies,
right?
But still,
right?
You're just
and not for nothing. The on the label side, like artists are making a ton. It's the songwriter side that isn't, because remember I talked about the two pies. There's the sound recording, and then there's the performance, the copyright. So
artists and labels are making money on the streams.
So if you are an artist and you own your master recording, you own your publishing, and you're getting played, you are making a killing on streaming.
Really?
Yes.
I actually did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Okay.
But, if you are a songwriter that doesn't perform, that you're just like a working class songwriter that is getting cuts on people's albums, you're making shit.
You're probably not even scraping by.
Well, not in streaming. I mean,
Right.
if you get like big licenses, if you get big
TV
syncs,
or film or
get,
something.
Yeah, if you get big syncs in a movie, or if you get that Target commercial or whatever, then you're going to do great. Your ASCAP check is going to look amazing, but not on streaming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for doing all this work. I mean, I'm sure you're in it for the long haul. You have a lot more work to do.
Yes.
But it's amazing that someone is doing something for people that don't even know how screwed they're getting.
Join Sona.
It's really a thing. So you can go to wearesona.com. And you also started something for songwriters that have been struggling since COVID happened.
Right. So early on in the pandemic, like pretty much right away, we were like, songwriters were like, when we went into shutdown, songwriters, their sessions got canceled. It was just like everything that you do during your day to make money was gone. Even just like meeting people for coffee and stuff like that. It's just like, that's where we don't have offices. We don't have colleagues every day. It's like we're always hustling with everything shut down. And so we realized that not only was this going to be a huge financial hit for songwriters, but also just like your sense of community is gone. Like you're just stranded.
And that's for everybody, but yeah.
I mean, you're right. Everybody experienced that. So we immediately, our events committee immediately started like hosting events online. The first couple of months we had like the Quarantine Hall where people could just come and vent. And then we did something that is like so not us. We did open mics. And so, which is like so not our jam, but people like needed things. Yeah. People needed to do stuff. And then we got a donation from Robert Platt from Sony Music Publishing, and John Platt. Why did I say Robert? John Platt from Sony Music Publishing, who is a huge supporter of songwriters, and he gave us a donation for $250,000, and he said, "Go." I know.
Beautiful. That's really heartwarming.
He's fucking amazing. He said, "Go help songwriters," and we were like,
"Gave me goosebumps."
Okay. All right. So then we quickly realized, like, you can't just give out that money. So we had to start
because we're a
501c6. Sona is, which is like,
I don't know what the fuck that is.
So that's a nonprofit status.
Okay, I got you.
That like gives us, we are allowed to do certain things. We're an advocacy organization.
Okay.
We're not allowed to like take in and give out money. So we had to start a 501c3. So we did that and started the Songwriter Fund and immediately started giving out $1,000 emergency grants to songwriters who were affected by COVID, had financial consequences from COVID. And we just relaunched the program. So you can go to thesongwriterfund.com, fill out an application, and if you're accepted, we'll wire you $1,000 right away. So,
beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Again, thank you on behalf of people that I know and people in our industry who really, really have needed help the whole year. But even to this day, even though things like when you and I were walking in, we were talking about both being vaccinated and how it just feels good that it feels like we're getting towards the end of it. But people like us and people in the industry, we're still a long ways from being back to any kind of living.
I know.
I've been touring with bands since 2005. And things are looking good, but I don't have dates on the books until like September, October.
I know. It's like your whole entire industry just like evaporated.
My
overnight.
Career disappeared.
Yep. Overnight.
And
same thing with Clay, my fiance. It's like that's what he does.
Right.
He tours and like it was just all of a sudden just gone.
And I was thinking about for the last few years, I've been wanting to get out of touring because I like being home. I like my friends. I love my wife. I like the comfort of being home, but I don't like having my career taken away against my will. Like I wanted to step away when I was ready.
Did you find that this forced you, like all those things that you said that you do to get off the road? Did you start to do them?
A little bit. I mean, I've been doing this kind of stuff since like 2009. I did a radio show with Dave Navarro for 10 years, and it kind of got me really in love with doing this kind of thing. And so now I'm very focused on having this be kind of what I do.
That's cool.
But COVID definitely pushed me into like,
right.
Maybe you should take this a bit more seriously.
Right.
So there's some good and bad. I think Darren and I have talked a lot about like the goods and bads of the last year. And
there's a lot of it.
You have a family, so I'm sure it's been nice at most times to spend so much time with your family.
Yeah, I mean, for our turmoil started early because my daughter was doing a study abroad program in Italy.
Oh shit.
And she was in Italy. She left in January and was doing her study abroad. And
Quick history lesson: Italy was doing really, really bad at the beginning.
It was
Epicenter.
outside of China. It was like ground zero for COVID in the rest of the world.
Right.
So we over here in the United States were hearing about like this. It's getting bad. And like something was different about it. This was not bird flu or like it wasn't. This was something different. And Zoe Mabel was not getting that over there, and she couldn't figure out why we were freaking out. And then they started. So we actually first evacuated her to Paris because her stepmom is Zoe's stepmom is a makeup artist, and a bunch of her friends had gone to Paris for Fashion Week. So we actually evacuated her from Italy to Paris just to see what was going to happen. And she was staying like in this bougie like pied-à-terre in Paris.
Poor kid.
And, like, but she was miserable.
Of course.
She was like, all of her friends were like, yeah, like school's canceled for the week, and they were partying. And
Your daughter's just with a bunch of adults she doesn't know.
She was so bummed. And so we ended up evacuating her from Paris, but that whole
That must
thing
have been
was
terrifying
like,
as a parent.
It was horrifying because she oh God, it was just so upsetting. At the same time, my parents were coming to stay with us because they were on their way to a cruise ship to take their dream cruise.
So
And
Massachusetts.
then the fucking I know, totally.
We're
But
going to
not-
Barbados.
Not for nothing. The fucking cruise ship let them on. Let them on. My father, after they had just been staying with a girl who had just left Italy, an 18-year-old, they were staying with her. And my dad is like, he's old. He's like held together with like wire and toothpick. Like he's like not, but he's fucking old.
Right,
They
right.
let them on the boat and then they dumped them in Mexico a week later. And so before shutdown even happened, we were like dealing with crazy. I feel like the worst it ever got happened before we even shut down.
Before shit even hit the fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
It's
my
crazy.
God. Wow. Wow. Your parents still live in Mass?
Yeah, they're down the Cape.
Where are you from? You're from
I'm from
Dorchester?
Dorchester, yeah.
Okay.
And actually, my daughter's moving home. She just got a job with City Air in Boston, and she might be
my wife did
moved.
that.
No
Okay.
way! Oh my God! Okay, yeah. So yeah, she's taking a gap year before grad school, and so
Did you grow up with the Wahlbergs?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
See, I grew up in Acton, which is like not the city. I grew up in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But even when I was a kid, I knew who the Wahlbergs were because they were bad kids.
They were bad kids.
Like-
They weren't bad kids. They weren't. They were just a huge family.
Sure.
And like did not have money.
Right.
They were poor.
Okay.
They were in a very working class, blue collar neighborhood that was not. We did not have. None of us had money, but like of all that, they were definitely the poorest, and just a huge with dogs and like they were.
I know
the
the type.
It was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in my hometown. It's like a pretty wealthy town, but my family was easily the poorest.
Isn't that like Bill Ricca?
Acton? No, it's like
Bill
Acton and
Ricca.
Concord.
Yes,
it's like
yes. Oh, yeah.
Acton
Like,
Boxborough is
yeah.
my high school.
Yeah.
Steve
Is that
Carell.
Route 2?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, okay,
exactly.
yeah.
I live right off of Route 2.
There you go.
But like my house was like the shittiest house in town. We had like multiple Christmas trees in the front yard from multiple Christmases, and like cinder blocks and tires and yeah.
They must have loved you.
Oh, they hated it. And like Acton is a big like historical society, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
want
yeah.
everything to stay. This is how it was in 1720, so don't
Yep.
change anything. But like, yeah, they hated it. So I can relate to them. Like, when you're poor, you do crazier shit, and you just have to get by, and you
Yeah.
don't, or you have no one looking after you to let you know what
Yeah.
is right and what is wrong. Mm-hmm. So what was it like growing up with those guys?
Well, I mean, we all were in the summers. So there were a bunch of weirdos in our neighborhood. There was like kids that would end up coming out as gay. In our family, there was a lot of stuff. A lot of us in our direct neighborhood had a lot of stuff going on, and so in the summers, So there was a schoolyard right at the end of our street called the Woodrow Wilson, and we called it the Woody. And so we were the Woody kids, and we would go hang out and in the summertime and play stickball and we all hung out. Marky was the youngest, so he didn't really hang out with us. But like Donnie was, we were besties. And we're still in touch. And actually, their mom just died.
Oh,
a couple of weeks ago. So Alma, who was like, strong ass woman.
Well, she has to be to have all those boys.
Oh my God! I mean, there were. Let's see.
Were they really a double-digit family? Okay, that's a lot.
9, yeah.
That is a lot.
So there was Marky, Donnie, Bobo, Jimbo, Paul. Did I say Paul?
No.
Arthur, Shelley, and another sister.
This reminds me of the scene in Good Will Hunting when they're listing off all the brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Danny, Donnie, Brian, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, Tracy.
Okay.
Tracy.
That reminded me, too. I remember one time I was on tour with Jane's Addiction, and we were playing in Boston, and I turned in my guest list.
Oh, my God.
They thought it was a joke. It was... Yeah. Cleary, McCarthy, Figler, Murphy.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is a joke, right? I'm like, I didn't think about it, but no, these are my people. I'm an Irish kid from Boston. These are my friends.
Okie.
They thought it was a total Patterson. Patterson was one. Like it was really, really funny. You and I also bonded on being diehard Red Sox fans.
Yes. And last year you donated that Damon bat.
Yep.
For
Hot Stove Cool Music.
Yeah.
Can you quickly explain what that is? Because it's such a cool thing, and I've been a fan of that for such a long time.
So we're both like diehard Red Sox fans from just forever. Obviously, we know this about each other.
It does happen at birth. So, I mean, if you're born there, it's like it's not.
And plus, it's like
choice.
It's so like like we love Irish people from New England. We love to suffer. We love to earn. Everything needs to feel earned. If it's not
a lot
earned.
of suffering in the last couple decades, though. It's been a good 20 years for the Boston sports fan.
Generally speaking, though, not just in baseball, but generations lived and died without ever seeing a championship.
I brought this to show you.
Oh my God!
This is a signed ball from Buckner and Mookie Wilson.
No.
Yeah, which is like one of the most famous. It's not the ball, of course, but signed by both.
But I love how you are a collector of these things, of bats and balls, and this is like a whole other level.
So I'll give you a tour sometime of a lot of my shit. But
you haven't met Dan? They call him the trash man.
The trash. Thank you. I collect toys other men have played with, which is interesting.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So Hot Stove Cool Music started in the year 2000. Peter Gammons, who is a Hall of Fame baseball writer, in case you don't know, amazing, just
the best
hero, just the best fucking guy.
Great mind.
And so he, everybody has their like fundraisers and stuff. All of his colleagues have like their golf tournaments and shit. And so he wanted to do something, but he's a rock and roll fan, and
plays guitar,
and so he and we were peripherally friends with him through our friend Jeff Horrigan, who at the time was the beat writer for the notebook writer for the Boston Herald, and so Jeff and Gammo wanted to do this fundraiser, and they had this idea. They wanted to do a rock concert and an auction and stuff, and so they called me in the end of 99, the end of 90, like winter, just the beginning of winter 99, like December or something like that, or maybe like January of 2020. And 2000. And they were like, oh, we want to do this thing. They told me what it was, and you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, when do you want to do it? They were like, we got the Paradise booked in 6 weeks. I was like, you cannot do get people to Paradise in the dead of winter in 6 weeks and have a fundraiser and do all the shit that you want to do. And
by the way, the Paradise in Boston has the most inconvenient pole in the middle of the floor. It is the worst location of a pole in the entire city as far as seeing a show goes.
But
no one wants the pole.
But I love that room.
It's a great spot.
I still love that. The sound is amazing. So, but it's what capacity is like 850 maybe. So like you can't just have. So I was like, all right, let's go. And so we did it. The room was full, and like, you know, people just came out to support Gammons, and you know, I played a solo set. Like Zoe wasn't even a year old then; she was a baby.
Oh, she was born back there. Okay.
Yeah, and
who was on the lineup on that first show? I mean, you guys have had some.
Thurman Munson. It was
Holy
all
shit.
baseball named people. Thurman. Who the was that? Oh my God, Jeff would kill me if I couldn't remember. Thurman Munson and another. I can't remember. It was another baseball player named band, and then me and Gammons, and you know, Gammons had a band of like all of the Boston people, and who are now the Boston the Hot Stove All Stars, and it raised $25,000 that
Amazing.
first year.
And it's just grown since then.
Well,
It's become a
because
staple.
then in 2004, 2003, when Theo was named the GM of the Red Sox, he was a 29-year-old wonderkind. It was
Changed
the
everything.
youngest
Yep.
GM in all of Major League Baseball, in the history of Major League Baseball. And he came in, and he and his brother, you know, he's from Brookline, and his brother is
He looks like it. He looks like a Brookline guy.
oh, totally. And his brother Paul was a high school teacher at Brookline High, and he and his wife did a lot of like service in the community, and so Paul was just like, we're gonna start a foundation, and so it ended up that they created a foundation that merged forces with Hot Stove Cool Music, and then we became the financial, like the concert engine behind, you know, that raised money for the foundation. So we've been doing it that way. And then when Theo went to the Cubbies, we started doing an event in Chicago as well.
That was
So,
cool to see.
Yeah.
That it continued on.
Yeah.
But you've had, what are some of your favorite guests that have been part of those shows? I mean,
Well, we're doing. When is this airing?
like this week.
Oh, okay. Because our Hot Stove Cool Music is on Wednesday. Tuesday. And,
Some people will hear it the day. So it's happening today. If you're
but like
hearing it.
Eddie Vedder is playing on it.
Amazing. And he's
Yeah.
been a part of it a few times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That guy-
And Yo-Yo Ma is on it this year.
I've only
which
hung
is
out with
so
Eddie
cool.
Vedder one time, and all we did was talk about baseball. And he reached into his pocket and pulled out a bunch of his guitar picks, and all of them were different theme park, like Fenway picks and Wrigley picks.
No way.
And he's a real baseball lover. And I was very happy for him that his Cubs finally got to win
Yep.
in 2016.
Yep.
Before we let you go, I do want to. You're a big fan of this, the cryptocurrency and NFTs, and I don't know anything about any of that, but I want to know. And Darren is also a bit of an expert, but you guys have a couple differing
wouldn't go that
opinions. Well, I mean, you worked on Wall Street. I mean, you kind of know what you're talking about.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, what got you into the crypto? And I mean, NFTs are very new, but
Right. Well, so my fiance Clay Janes is an inventor, and he built his first computer, you know,
For real? Wow.
back when, and you know, he's got patents for like things, like he's crazy, just loves technology.
so I've met
and
him
loves-
once. I'm happy that I've met an inventor in my life. That's very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
He's super cool, super just like
His name sounds familiar.
Clayton Janes. He's he does
He's the inventor, dude. The inventor.
But he does playback for, like, he's always out with like Kiss and
Yep.
Eagles, and anyway, that you should have him on. He's
I would
had
love to,
quite an
actually.
interesting career in the music business. But he in 2017 was like, I want to mine Ethereum. I was like, what the fuck is that? And
Smart man.
I had heard of Bitcoin, I had heard of blockchain, but none of these cryptocurrency. But to me, that sounds like made up.
Kid stuff.
It's
Yeah.
stupid. Like, why would I ever be interested in Bitcoin? It sounded dumb to me. It's just like
It did sound dumb, didn't it?
It sounded really dumb. So he builds this Ethereum mine, I kind of am learning on the fly what this is. I still don't quite understand it, and
I don't think
but then,
anyone
like,
does.
But he like
sort of understand it.
So we had like six nodes. You know, like our rig had 6 nodes in it. So basically, what we're doing is, you know, there are computers all over the world,
Peer-to-peer,
closing blocks, like completing transactions through a consensus method called proof of stake. And so I didn't know that was what it was called at the time. But then he fucking left to go on the road, and I had to learn how to mine I had to take care of the mine.
Oh,
nice.
It was
so I learned how to, I had to, it crashed a lot, so I'd have to restart it and reboot the whole system. And basically through that process, I could kind of see how this was working and how our node was competing with other nodes all around the world to complete transactions and to close blocks. So anyway, it just kind of captured my imagination in a way that nothing else really ever has. And I started investing back then, and I get my first crypto purchase was in October of 2017. And I bought 3 ETH, which is the native token of Ethereum, is called Ether. And
your friend's rich, Dan.
No, I bought my first transaction was 3 ETH in October of 2017 for $800.
Okay.
And right now
For all 3.
For all 3,
okay.
yeah. So, and then I had a bunch of little, I never put in tons of money, but I would buy $75 worth of ETH, and I would buy $50 worth of, so my first 3 coins were Bitcoin, ETH, and Litecoin.
Can you imagine someone in the 1950s hearing this conversation for the first time?
Oh, their head would explode.
What'd you buy? 3, okay. So 3 ETH.
So
you can't touch it, right?
It's money, but it's not real. What?
But what is
real?
currency?
Right. Yeah. Some people would argue that our actual money is not backed up as much as it should be.
It really has made me think a lot about currency and what it means and how it's valued, and there, Bitcoin is, the value of there is a finite amount of Bitcoin that can be minted. So it's actually a deflationary asset. That's why it increases in value.
Right. It's not like U.S. currency where you can just print more.
Right.
Basically.
Which is kind of what they do. Which is what my problem is with Doge is the unlimited supply. It's an inflationary.
But you're wrong, though.
Am I?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Okay. Tell
I'm
me
gonna back
more.
up.
Tell me more.
Well,
no, I really want to know what you have to say about this.
It is unlimited, but it is it's only a certain percentage per year, and that number decreases as time passes.
Okay. Do you think you can get to $1?
Absolutely. It's already hit 75 cents.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, because you and I talked a few weeks ago, and you're like, it was in the 40 cents something, and you were like, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
It hit 75?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it dropped again, but
No wonder you weren't returning my texts. Jesus. You're your cash.
Yeah. I was getting rich.
Yeah.
So are you a Doge maximalist? Do you own any other coins, or are you just a Doge guy?
I'm in on other coins.
Okay.
But it was my first crypto purchase.
So that makes it's kind of emotional.
Yeah,
our relationship to the coin that got us into.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I feel about
Yeah,
ETH.
we all-
It's like the team that drafts you. You always love the team that drafts you in sports.
Right.
It's emotional.
Except for maybe Kobe, right? He got drafted by.
Did he? Was he drafted by a different team?
He was drafted by the Hornets, but they traded him.
But look at him now. I mean, it didn't work. Sorry.
Oh my God.
I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Sorry.
But Dan definitely had to go
God.
there.
I had to. Okay. Back to your fake money. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was my first crypto purchase. I didn't know anything about crypto. I started investing in stocks in August, which isn't even a year yet.
Okay.
And I just saw the graph. So it was on Robinhood, and I saw the graph of it, and I was just like, this continually appreciates. Looks good to me. So I threw $20 into it. It's like, it's $20, whatever. Which was the day before it went to 8 cents, which was the talk of the town.
You bought it the day before it went to 8?
The day before.
Wow. So it was under a penny at that time?
It was a penny when I bought it first.
Wow.
And I bought it for $20. And even that whole day, because cryptocurrency trades 24/7. So, I was
Because on Wall Street, it's Monday through Friday, right?
Monday through Friday, 9 to 4.
Okay, so
That
24 hours a
doesn't
day
have to change.
And then
worldwide.
there's after hours as well, which became a later thing.
Okay.
Which thanks to Bernie Madoff for that. But
Hey, Bernie. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
so I worked late. So I was up like pretty late when I first bought it. I think I bought it like midnight, and I was up to like 2 or 3, and it depreciated that first night. I was like, oh man. I mean, I obviously I didn't have any expectations for it to like. I just was like, oh, it looks like something that continually appreciates. And the next morning, like I think I probably made like a couple bucks on it. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I was a new investor, so I was scared. So I took my initial investment back, and I kept whatever else was in, and then it blew up. And the story for me was that like, so just a long story short, I moved here to do comedy, and that didn't kind of work out. This is why I'm here with Dan.
As these things happen.
So no one's plans work out the way they want them to.
No, ever.
And so, as a comedian, or as a person who at least thinks he's a comedian, or as a
He's funny, by the way.
I was like, it would be so funny because I went to private school. My mom spent a lot of money for me to go to private school in New York, and I went to a great college.
And you're like, I want to tell jokes.
And nothing has worked out for me. And I said, you know what would be the most ironic thing in the world is if this makes me rich.
Right.
Play money.
Right?
Yeah.
So I said, you know what?
Fuck it.
Everything else that I supposedly did right in life has not done anything for me, or at least in my view. I was like, you know what? This is going to be my thing. I'm going to put a little bit more money into this. And I think that was the day that it went crazy. And then I was still scared. So I think it went to 8, and then I think it started dropping down to like 4 or 5. And then I sold my initial investment again. And then
Take your profits and then buy low.
I took my profits, and then I think it was trading sideways for a while, but I just kind of I don't know. I felt good about it.
Which is what you do.
And so before I first bought it, there was no real news about it. And and then it went crazy, and I was just like, this can't, like, I literally just bought it the night before on a joke. I do comedy. I'm just like, this
You're like, Dogecoin is for me.
yeah, like this
It's
is
the stupidest one.
Be,
That's for me.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this, and I mean, it hasn't made me rich, but it's definitely put the most money in my pocket that I've ever had.
That's wild.
So-
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about Doge is that you can,
with it.
the graphs of it, like you can see the.
It goes wild.
I mean, the pumps and dumps are like, so
Yeah.
you can time it in a way. But that's the thing about Doge that I don't like is that the value of it kind of like rises and falls on, social
Elon's.
media and like, I mean, does it? So for me, as a person who's very, like kind of conservative about my money, because I've never really I've always had to really be careful. So for me, it's like there are other places in crypto where, like, for me, and by the way, I gotta go pretty soon.
Oh, sure, no problem.
But the thing I love about Ethereum is that it is, Bitcoin is, Bitcoin. The thing about it, Bitcoin is like a store of value,
Yeah, they say it's
And-
the liquid, the digital gold.
Yeah.
It's like something you hold,
but-
you don't sell.
You hodl it, right? Or
Yeah.
you can. I mean, right now it's sort of trading sideways, as you say.
Right.
But Ethereum is a network. It's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
the way I like to think about it is like, it's an interstate highway system, and so you can build. It has what's called a smart contract, which you can build. NFTs are built on Ethereum for this reason, because you can build an NFT on top of Ethereum, and the smart contract gives the trigger between. So the smart contract it's not smart and it's not a contract, but it's
Great naming.
It's a transaction that is like, if this, it's a trigger. If this, then that. So if the creator,
Which is all of computing.
right, probably.
Yeah, it's either 0 or 1.
Yeah,
Right, true.
there you
True.
go.
There you go. Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that.
See,
but
he's a smart guy over here.
smart guy. So, so you can, but it's not just NFTs. It's like, decentralized finance, like loans and even real estate, establishing provenance for pieces of art. All of these things can be built on top of Ethereum. And so the complaint about Ethereum is, the massive amount of computational power required to
And
mine
the
it.
Carbon copy.
Right.
Carbon footprint.
And as I know, but not for nothing, but that's a little bit disingenuous, because that's a whole other podcast. But
We'll have to do
there
this
are
again
now-
for sure.
But
Yeah.
there are now other protocols that are being developed on using a consensus method called proof of work, which does not require mining. So
Right.
it's like so there are protocols called like
So that's your
Polkadot.
that's your problem with Doge then,
Car-
because it's proof of work.
No, no. It's Doge is mined by Litecoin miners, so they do use proof of work. That's not really my problem with it. My problem with it is that it doesn't do anything. It is strictly, the value of it is all about hype and like very predictable pump and dump schemes. And you can time that, you can make money from that. People can do well, but it's not so, and it could stay this way forever. But like if a whale who holds, like a bazillion Dogecoins decides to dump it all, like
Which has happened.
If someone, pulls an Elon, like what Elon just did with Bitcoin, which actually I think the fact that Bitcoin did not take a deeper dive, like kind of held at that support level of 48.
It didn't get blazed that bad.
So
No,
I'm
it was
not good at this
10%.
stuff, but if someone dumps a bunch, it brings all the value down.
Right,
Yeah.
because
Is
that
they're
right?
selling
Yeah.
Okay.
and no one's buying.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay,
Yeah. So if you sell all your coins, then the value drops.
Got it.
So you're flooding the market with coins.
right. Got it.
So
Just think of it, as simple as supply and demand. Like if you have 1,000 T-shirts and 2,000 people want them, how much are you going to charge for them?
I know this way because I collect baseball bats.
Right,
Cal
exactly.
Ripken just gave his entire personal bat collection of all of his like home run bats and stuff, flooded the market with hundreds of them, and now his
They're cheap.
overall value has gone down.
Right.
So I get it.
Right.
See?
Yep, see?
You find a way to make it work
There
for you,
you
and that's
go.
why we're here.
there you go. And when people talk about NFTs, like why would I buy something when I can just look at why would I buy a PDF file when I could just look
Google
at
it.
it on
Or whatever.
Well, you as a writer and an
but-
artist, you understand why.
But it's like you can look at the Mona Lisa, you could take a picture of it and put it in your, but you don't fucking own it,
Right.
Right.
And with NFTs on the Ethereum network, it's like the token. You have a unique token, a unique, provable, uncorruptible
This is mine.
provenance of this work of art. That this is mine.
Before I let you go, I want to say one cool thing about NFTs that I know that I love is that if someone creates a piece of art on NFTs, you as an artist, you can sell it, and if that person sells it, you get a piece of it every time they sell.
But only if I sell it on, if I create and sell my NFT on like Nifty Gateway, then every time it is sold on the secondary market, the creator gets a 10% royalty. But if I take the NFT that I own and move it over to OpenSea, that
which
is
it
no
moves?
longer, it doesn't, so it's
I didn't know
not, there's no interoperability between, because the smart contract is neither smart nor a contract. So it doesn't recognize if I move my NFT over to OpenSea, that royalty no longer gets kicked back to, you can't amend the token later to recognize if I'm over on OpenSea, which is why music NFTs are a little problematic right now, but we can do a whole entire episode on Actually, I'm doing an NFT webinar for the Association of Independent Music Publishers this Thursday at 2 p.m. PT.
Where can people watch that?
It's you have to go to Association of Independent Music Publishers, AIMP, and sign up for the webinar. I think it's like $5 for non-members.
Cool.
But that is Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time.
Wonderful. Oh, cool. Well,
And just can I quickly give you a 1 minute rebuttal to why
there we go.
Doge is actually worth something?
Sure.
Simply because it, like we talked about as far as currency goes, it really is the belief
Yeah.
in it, and
It's like Santa Claus.
Not really.
But the dollar or
gold.
But yeah,
gold.
it-
like
right,
if you
gold,
believe
yeah,
it
that's
has
true.
value,
It's
I
just
believe
it's a mineral. Like what?
we as a collective society or enough people have decided that
yes.
this is worth
You're absolutely right.
money or currency, and it's no different than what the dollar is, because the dollar is backed by nothing as well.
I
So, in my mind, its value is in the people
Yeah,
and
you're right.
and the internet, because the internet's undefeated.
Right.
That also makes it terrifying, if you ask
Yeah.
me. But
It
Yeah.
is. It's not a safe store of value for my money, but I understand why people love it, and I understand why. But I will make a bet between you and me right now. It will not go to $1.
oh,
That's a terrible bet on your part.
Really? You think?
It's-
Okay.
I mean, they're projecting 3 to 5 now.
Let's talk.
$3 to
And
$5.
Let's talk. Let's talk in 6 months. That's not going to happen. In order for Doge to get to $1, it would have to have a larger market cap than Ethereum.
Not for
It's
$1.
not for $1.
I don't think you're right about that.
You don't think so?
We've already almost hit 76 cents.
But have you wondered why it hasn't been able to move, even with all the hype?
You know why?
Listen.
Because it
Why?
was 5 cents 2 months ago.
Listen, let's
That's
do
right.
this. Let's do this again in November and see where we're
Let's
all
see
at.
where we're at.
I will
We
still
don't
be
have to.
I will still be over here, not
I'm
investing in
telling
anything.
you right now.
Okay. All right.
Well,
listen.
The
find
road to
out.
$1 is like within a couple of weeks, maybe a month.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll circle back in 6 months. We will.
All right.
But it might come
You
back
can
down.
totally bust my balls forever, obviously, because I just went on record on this show as saying
Or you
that
can bust his balls. I mean, we'll see.
I'm not going to bust balls. I understand. This is a
You're a
very
Boston
stra-
chick. Of course
this
you're
is
gonna
a
bust some
very-
balls.
This is a very strange. I mean, crypto is very.
It's very strange.
There are a lot of forces at play that are not usually associated with the valuation of currency.
Yeah.
So anything is possible except $1 Doge.
Oh
Wow.
shit. Oh shit.
Wow.
On that note,
You're lucky you're the guest.
On that note, you can follow Kay Hanley at Kay Hanley, Hanley, at DNelly Radio. Thank you so much for coming. It was nice
thanks,
to. I feel
Dan.
like I actually really kind of know you better now.
Well, this was really great. Thank you.
We'll do it again.
We will. Thanks, Darren.
and,
Even you.
Yes.
Even
you
you.
were fabulous.
New York and Boston, still butting heads after
Yeah.
all these years.
Love it.
And everybody else, follow us at Rare Form Radio. Go to the Patreon. Follow us on YouTube. Like, subscribe. I hate doing those plugs, but you got to do it,
You
right?
got to do it.
You got to do
Being
it.
a business person, having the uncomfortable conversation with your partners.
Give me money.
Give him your money.
Give me
He's
your,
working
I want your
hard.
attention.
He's
I'm bringing
doing-
in hard-hitting, tough Boston
You're
chicks who
doing
are also
God's
very,
work.
very smart. So I appreciate all you do for artists. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
And let's do it again soon.
Go Sox.
Go Sox.
This is Lola, and I'm here to tell the world to stop being such pussies and listen to Rare Form Radio.